let me just say, for years, right, analytics teams, intelligence teams, we've always reported on the sentiment of articles, of social media conversations, of Reddit thread. It's a pretty standard practice, and I'm sure you've done it with your teams before. The challenge here, though, is that AI doesn't always match the sentiment to the original source, which to my point earlier, right? In some cases, it reframes it more negatively, and as you can see on the left, where under sustainability, and in other cases, it is not as maybe as bad as it should be. On the right, we see topics like leadership, and these are just example topics of not real data about any brand, just some thoughts of things that I see, generally speaking. You can see things like leadership instability, greenwashing concerns, all getting amplified when AI answers repeat those negative anchors, right? They're repeating context on an article or context on Reddit or context on X. And it's just not a mirror, right? It's a filter. And unless we're measuring this, we don't know when the filter is working for us and or against us. Now, this type of analysis would require more than just access to like Profound or Brandlight. It would require kind of blending data sets. So pulling data from Cision or pulling data from Muckrack or pulling data from, Meltwater or social listening tools like Talkwalker, and integrating and trying to understand like what are those things that are what's the source sentiment of sustainability versus earnings and product launches and exec interviews on the media, and then how is the AI, how are they interpreting that context? Because I guarantee you it's going to be very different, and we need to manage that. We need to manage and it's not just ChatGPT. Right? It's Claude, it's Perplexity, it's Google AI mode and AI summaries, it's U.com, it's DeepSeek, and there's dozens of other large language models that people are slowly adopting. The last slide here is one of my favorite types of data because you're looking at where these perception gaps appear. Okay, so on the left, we see how different AI engines weigh authority versus sentiment. So again, these are just example channels, very similar to the stakeholder mapping I showed you earlier, right? Sometimes they put disproportionate weight on like Reddit threads or blogs, even when sentiment is highly negative. But in this case, authority really isn't quantitative. This would be like a conversation that you'd have internally, like, how are we going to prioritize what's authoritative? Maybe this graph shows our top 50 media outlets. Maybe this graph shows the NGOs that we care about. Maybe this graph shows just the social media channels, right? In either case, I have specific channels. I have like Wall Street Journal, trades, New York Times. I have industry analysts. If you're in B2B, like Gartner, Forrester, blogs, YouTubes, etc. But you might want to think about the authority differently and the sources differently. And so it just depends upon what it is you want to do, right? But understanding how the model is basically prioritizing negative sentiment, positive sentiment, and then showing how many citations, which is the size of the bubble, which is pulling through. It gives you kind of a better idea on how you may want to, again, reach out to correct misinformation, or at least get on the radar of particular outlets. On the right, this is looking at media coverage and comparing it to AI and how they're, covering certain topics. You can design prompts that say, what is my brand? How prevalent is my brand and innovation? And you can pull media coverage, and you can start to understand the disparity between the AI models. Maybe they don't think of your brand as a leader in the market, but you get great coverage on it, but it's not pulling through on the AI engines. So again, it's a red flag for reputation, because obviously we care about how we're being viewed by the public and others. So again, the tools stay the same on this analysis.